sorry, you and I had not spoken live, only in Slack, and already, like, you can read me the phone book, like whatever you want to say. It's intrinsically going to
Okay.
sound cool.
1-295-7. Okay. All right. So
That's not your side hustle. You are missing a call,
I
man.
think it is now.
Anyway, nice to speak to you live.
Nice to meet you all. Right. So for those of you at home, maybe, who haven't joined one of these events at all, my name is Tim, and I'm going to be a stunt guest today. Joining me are John and Hep. So perhaps you two can just briefly introduce yourselves. I know you have done this a couple of times, but maybe there are new people in the chat. Who knows?
Yeah. Hep, you want to jump in first?
Yeah, hey y'all, I'm Hep. I'm a PM on the Firefly team, and I also work on a lot of other things at Adobe, like the Adobe Capture mobile app. I run the Adobe Color service, so I am your expert for all things color related. And I work on Adobe Express and Photoshop Express and a bunch of other applications as well. Really excited to be here today and talk about color.
Cool. Yeah. And I'm really happy Hep is here to talk about color. I was attempting to demo recolor on a different Adobe live stream yesterday, which went really well because, it's a cool feature and it's pretty easy to use. But my co-presenter started asking me about color theory and different harmonies and triads and things, and I just could not vamp my way out of that. I wanted to do a phone a friend. So Hep would be the friend I would phone.
Oh, this is amazing. And of course, we are also joined by the live chat. So if you're watching this live, then in that case, you can ask us some questions. You can just tap on I think there should be a button somewhere over on that side, I think. And you can open the stage chat, post your questions in there. And of course, if you're watching the replay of this, in that case, invent a time machine. I don't know. All right. So, and we already have some people in there. Hi, Akin. Hi, Sean. Hi, Gareth. Tim Say versus Sensei. Thank you for that. So yeah, we do have a couple of things we wanted to talk about today, I believe, including color. Heb, I think you had something for us.
Yeah, so if you are not aware, hopefully you are, we launched a new module yesterday on Firefly called Recolor Vectors. And this is a tool essentially to help you quickly but also guidedly recolor your vector artwork with new color themes created from generative technology. And we have a couple of tools built in there as well. So I thought I would give us a little demo. Let me figure out how to share my screen.
Should be a button
have
right at the bottom of Discord.
Rejoin. One moment, because I have not shared yet. Let's see. I want to share Chrome.
In the meantime, we have received cool artwork.
Can you see my screen?
I'm not seeing yet.
All right, let me leave and I'll be right back. I think I need to give it permission.
Otherwise, we will take over the demo.
Well, we can for sure. No, it's that thing. I don't know if anybody uses Microsoft Teams, but it's always wanting to update your video driver right when you start showing something, like specifically to your boss or a big meeting. So that's always fun. And then on Mac, like if you haven't shared your screen in some context, like sometimes you need to restart the app, which also sucks. So maybe Hep is in that. Just to not waste anybody's time, if we want, let me try to share my screen, and I can give folks a preview of some cool stuff we have coming around 3D. Ooh. So if anybody happened to see the live stream yesterday, we kind of put it towards the end. So apologies if it's redundant, but it's cool enough. I mean, seeing it twice is no burden, let's be honest. I hope. But actually, with all these things, please do give us your feedback as we go, because we'd love to get that. So, all right, let me share my screen, and I'm gonna.
And for those who are just joining us, as always, we are doing this live, so please do post your questions in the chat. Just going to maximize the screen, and we can see it. That's great. Brilliant.
Okay. Are you guys seeing this sort of like wireframey video thing?
Right now I'm looking at Discord, and I think you shared the wrong monitor, perhaps.
I might have. My apologies. Sorry, gang. It is Friday. Let me.
There's that one. That's it.
Stop streaming. Okay. Bear with me. All right. I got to hide all my secret squirrel.
And in the meantime,
feedback for other teams on stuff.
in the meantime,
Um,
I have a comment from Totally Fried. I mean, as a photographer, I do color correction in a very different way, but I hope the AI will be integrated into Photoshop sometime soon. Yes, this is vector recoloring, so perhaps not for your photos, unless you want to vectorize your photos. I mean, I guess you can, but
Well, yeah, you're right. These are different features, but it is a really interesting point. There's a technology called ControlNet. In fact, I somehow every conversation with me takes about 3 seconds, and I bring this up, whether it's internal or external. And but people are applying it in really interesting ways. One of which is photo restoration. And so being able to take an old image and use AI to bring life into it is really cool. Like I can bring that up in a minute. Hap, I just started sharing since we weren't sure about your tech
No
setup.
worries.
So if it's cool with you, I'll kick things off, and then I'll pass the mic. Okay, so now let's try this again. All right. So are you guys seeing my screen with like a big
Yes.
wireframe thing?
we are
Okay.
looking at
Okay, cool.
the website right now.
Amazing.
Firefly.
Okay. Okay. So I just wanted to point out a couple things. So presumably folks have seen the Firefly site. If not, you probably wonder how we got into this Discord. So if presuming that you have, you've seen there's little module previews we've got there. So one we call 3D to image. And it's I think it's really interesting right now with these diffusion technologies. Often you get very sort of spontaneous serendipitous results, and that can be a lot of fun. On the other hand, sometimes you really know specifically what you want. In fact, my silly thing of the morning was I want to make Mount Rushmore with my wife and kids and my head. This was her suggestion, and call it Mount Goofmore.
Naturally.
Funny, possibly only to our family, if that. But that would be a fun thing to do. And so I would love to just compose a scene like that using very simple primitives, right? I could like build up Mount Rushmore. I could put in placeholders for people. And then I could say, oh, that's Margot, that's Finn, that's Henry, that's me. And then you could sort of interpret or extrapolate from there. So that's kind of the vision, where using, whether it's a 2D element or a 3D element, you could help people compose more what's in their mind's eye. There's still a large degree of serendipity that's possible. And as you'll see here in this demo, often you can use really simple selections or simple cues, but just having those is incredibly powerful. So there's many ways to skin this cat. One of them is this sketch to image thing, which was another piece of the puzzle. And as you can imagine, the pieces hopefully come together to make a pretty cool puzzle. So specifically around 3D, we're experimenting with using depth. And as you might imagine, depth can be achieved in a bunch of ways. You can take a portrait mode photo. You could interpret the depth, just estimate it by looking at a 2D RGB image. Or in the case of having actual 3D geometry, then you know intrinsically what the depth is because there's a model of the world. And so hopefully it's big enough on your screen. If not, I'll just kind of narrate it. And this is a video, since I figured it'd be more reliable than doing a live stream. But imagine you could start with a blank canvas, or you could start potentially with a photograph, and then you could drop things onto it, which I think is really an interesting way to go. So here we're just starting blank, and I'll pause this and scrub back and forth if that's cool.
I'm not sure if we can see that video. I was looking at the website.
Really?
I think you've shared just the browser window.
Oh, I'm right. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I always think these things are cognitive tests to know if I am in fact smart enough to work here, which certainly not.
It's like a built-in capture. You have to prove that you're human.
Share entire screen. Oh yes, right. It's everything's an elaborate captcha in the simulation. Okay, doing better now, I hope. All right, so now you're seeing.
Yes, brilliant.
All right, thank you for letting me know. It would have been lame if you let me keep going. Okay, so very simple GUI. This is before the design team has gotten their hands on this. So many times folks doing the research have to, of course, figure out, is this even going to work? Is it worth a damn? Then we bring in designers who kind of get into this cool ping pong going back and forth, shaping the experience. So right now, just to set expectations, very, very Spartan and functional, but it lets you do some neat stuff. So what's happening is we're dragging in this OBJ file, super dirt simple, in fact, rock simple. And then it says a big rock on the beach. And just by typing that prompt, boom, you get a big rock on the beach. And so just going back a little bit, there's the incredibly like low poly, very basic scene. Could not be a simpler scene, really. And that's what something like a cube, which you can also show. And here it's just saying, okay, big rock on the beach. If I let it play, there's a little slider. It's kind of playing with some interface ideas, so you can actually see before and after. Another
really
thought is,
cool.
well, what if you wanted to build up more rocks, right? So using this little 3D gizmo, I think that is actually the term of art,
It is.
you can clone these things, reshape them, move them in space. Really super simple, no complicated sculpting tools or whatever. And just by doing that, gets in this case where now you can say, instead of a big rock on the beach, I want to type Rocky Mountains beautiful landscape. Give it a second. Hit generate. Thanks for a couple seconds. And bang. Right.
Wow.
Now, again, kind of interesting serendipitous. Didn't specify water, but that was one of the things that it came up with. You can imagine an interface where you might get multiple versions, kind of like today when you compose using text, you want to make a photo, you get a 4-up view. Potentially, we could do something like that. Lots of decisions not yet made. In fact, that'll be one of the fun things to get your feedback on as we kind of proceed. The nature of the Firefly site is meant to be this sort of incubator, playground, test environment where before we take on all the work of making something really polished and fit into Photoshop or Substance Designer or whatever it might be, we get a chance to kind of be loose and free and get your feedback. So let me continue playing this. And again, just kind of going back and forth. So now you might want to say, hey, how about some more rocks? And we might want to stretch those out. So move these guys around and now build up like a whole mountain range. Stretch out some of those guys, make them taller. And
I do like how it's the same model all the time. It's just moving it around. You don't have to have like 50 different rock models just to create a landscape.
exactly.
It's really cool.
Right. And so this is sufficient to go ahead and now compose a different take on Rocky Mountain's beautiful landscape, right? So now there's no foreground, there's no water, and it's already like, damn, that's, I don't know, to my eye, pretty cool. Obviously, you could play around with more props and you could give it different cues and you could keep playing away. But basically, it's just sort of breaking this ground of saying, what if you let folks use more semantic structures or cues, exactly how the process of generation should go. So 3D is one option. As I mentioned, sketches, other things can do that. And of course, then they can start combining in pretty cool ways. So let me play that again.
That's really
And
cool.
let's say, I think there's one more. And this one, they add a shape, which is a cylinder, kind of a big cylinder, apparently. And so let's say you wanted to put like a watchtower. Hep lives up in the mountains, and I assume you have like cool little watchtowers all around. It's not San Jose, which is where I live, which is very flat and very vanilla. So this will be your next challenge. Have maybe compose some cool Firewatch thing. So yeah, just kind of placing this, you can see it's trying to adhere to the rock pile. Again, lots of work to be done on that. But the point is, you can get to a sort of interesting place without really much, if any, 3D related experience. And now say you've got Rocky Mountain's beautiful landscape, and we just want to add a watchtower in the middle of the Rocky Mountain's beautiful landscape, and go ahead and run that, and bang, now you got that result.
I mean, look at that lighting.
So yes, super exciting. Let me just see if there's other stuff in this one. I think you guys get the point. Yep, great. And just, a totally different treatment. I'll tab over and show a different one, which I think is really cool as well, which is more of an indoor scene. And so jump. Everything opens on the one monitor. Now, obviously, you can imagine we could provide a bunch of preset geometry, but even if it's just this like caveman simple stuff like a cube, as you're seeing here, you can do stuff like stretch it out, make a big rectangle, fashion that into a wall, duplicate it, make a right angle. Shouldn't have to do that, but even in the Spartan starting place, you can do some cool stuff. So you can imagine there being a preset for something like a tree or many different kinds of trees. Again, let's say you don't even have that. All you have are just these like, 1980s, I want my MTV level graphical constructs, right? But you could make something sort of roughly approximating a Christmas tree. And then guess what? You could go in and type in, a beautiful Christmas tree, I think in a corner, something like that. Don't even have to spell Christmas right. Well, at least with capital. And you hit go and thinks about it for a couple seconds and bang, right? Now you've got this cool composition. And then again, in interest of time, I realize I don't talking a lot as usual. Let's just speed through and builds up the scene. Props to Matthias, who's the engineer working on this, who's also the demo artist. So go ahead and put some boxes around the Christmas tree. Add a beautiful Christmas tree surrounded by presents in the corner of a room. Hit generate. give it a couple of seconds to think. This is all real time, and bang, right? Now you've got this composition. So just, I think, wild possibilities here, especially, you can imagine you could have 2D sketches. That's one technique you can use. You can do 3D elements. You could bring those together, training your own model. Again, like the Mount Rushmore example, I think it'd be really interesting. So hopefully it's like, the T-1000 when he's all shattered and starts morphing back together. Hopefully these little globules will Voltron together just to completely mix franchises in a cool way. All right, I will stop chattering and now pass to Hap if you want to take us away. And let's see if I
And while
stop
you
streaming. There we
get
go.
ready for the screen share, I just wanted to say the chat is thoroughly impressed, and so am I. I mean, it's just the
Cool.
process, thinking about all the steps that would be involved to get a scene like this from the just default cube to the lighted and textured and bump mapped ready scene. This is just, and I
Yeah,
also-
this is.
yeah.
I was going to say one of the sort of consolations of getting older is it's like in my day, I in college, right? I mean, I remember using like Strata 3D, and it was hooked to the school network so that you could license software. And I had my machine in my girlfriend's room. It was like I get kicked out at midnight, so I would like spend hours building up some scene. I would hit render. I would leave. I would come back the next morning as soon as guys were let back in and see, and like there were 4 seconds of video composed, and it was like it's just such a giant roll of the dice. And so now to be able to do this in a web browser trivially with a couple of words is beyond bananas. And of course my kids will be like, yeah, what else you got, right? Because of course that's just the world that they're starting in.
Yeah.
All right.
And I love that you can control the
Yeah.
composition. Like a big problem with photography, right, is you go to the shoot, you do the shoot, you come back and they're like, this is great, but we need to put text over here. Can you just like move everything over? And you're looking at hours of compositing time, right, to like fulfill the brief. So
Yep.
this is such a great tool for like, oh, you wanted the cover image to have text? Well, let me just render something up for you. And then you can use the rest of the shoot, as we've done. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my entire screen. And let me know. Still won't let me share. Not.
Are you on macOS?
Yes.
Have you allowed
I
in
gave
the system preferences?
Discord permission. Do I need to also do it in Chrome? Hold on.
You know what? I can be stunt Hap if you want to puppet my screen.
Great.
All
yeah.
right.
You want to
You
Cool.
be
might need to
stuck
do that, yeah. But for next time.
All right. Okay.
Let me pass
I'll
you
share.
a couple files on across Slack.
Okay.
That's how you know it's live.
That's right. That's right. It's the old Bill O'Reilly. F it, we'll do it live. Probably shouldn't say. But okay. So let me close out of there, and I'll go up to the color. And Hap, you said you would Slack me stuff?
They're coming over right now.
All right,
The
cool.
whole SVG.
All right, let me decloak Slack and pop it onto my other screen. It's
Yeah,
just
Kingpin.
talking with a bunch of excited.
Webcam might be blurred. That might be
Are-
just
are you-
Discord. I mean, yeah.
Oh, sorry, say
Very
again?
slow.
No, I'm just talking to someone in the chat. Kingpin mentioned the camera was a bit blurry, and I think that's just Discord. The
Okay.
internet.
Okay. Yeah, and it might just be my upstream bandwidth. All
Oh
right.
no, Hep's camera. You're fine. You're
heck.
crispy clear. Oops.
Oh,
My
Awesome.
camera's always a little blurry. I'm not sure why. Soft focus, naturally.
all right. Hap, did you?
They're
Did you
coming, but
say-
they're coming slow because they're all big. So,
Okay.
but you
and-
can
and
get
Hap-
started with some other ones if you want, and then we can. run
Yeah,
back
yeah.
through
Okay.
these.
So yeah, great point. So if anybody hasn't seen it, just go to firefly.adobe.com. If you have access, please check it out. If you don't have access, please hang in there. As Hap can attest, it's like we've been like hand pushing out the invites, with like artisanal tools. It's very silly, but it does work. It just, and we're adding some tens of thousands of people every day. It's a whole thing. Okay. So if you can, just go to the site and click on the recolor module, and you can upload your own SVG file, but just for convenience and speed, let me click on one of the ones which is there.
You haven't shared your screen
And-
yet?
You're gonna need to reshare because we can't see your
Oh,
screen
sh-
again.
Shoot, I'm sorry, guys. Boy,
Unless you want to do
it's one of
a
those days.
word picture, and that's fine, I guess.
No, yeah, I'm not that good. Okay. All right. Let me take that back one step. Okay.
There we
Are you guys seeing it now?
Yes.
All right, beautiful. All right, cool. So recolor over on the right. Go ahead and click it. If you want, hit upload SVG. Again, I'm just going to keep it simple. By the way, when you roll over these presets, you then see the prompt. It's probably tiny on your screen. This one says retrofuturism poster. This one says blue, purple, and green. And it gives you some different states of the art. So you click it, and in fact, you will then see that prompt applied to the art. And what's happening behind the scenes is, just like in the text-to-image module, Firefly is generating images for each of these 4 variations. And then those images are being used to transform the vector art, right? So it's extracting the color palette, it's then mapping it on there. And then you have some other presets over on the right. So if you want to do something like, say, well, instead of, blue, purple, and green, let me try trippy disco lights. Because Trippy Disco Cats seems appropriate to a Friday, right? And that's where maybe I'll pass the mic to Hep. What else should I show?
Yeah, so sometimes the colors can get a little far away. They can get a little, missy-matchy, kind of too garish. So one of the things that we've built into here is harmony rules. So if you go to the drop down under harmony and you choose analogous, analogous is, as I said before, I'm a color nerd. So analogous is my favorite color rule because it's, if you know color theory, it's colors that are all within 90 degrees of each other. So basically it's like a strip of colors that are pretty well matching because they're all close to each other on the color wheel. So here you see that it took that trippy disco lights and it kind of like brought it back. Is it still trippy disco lights? Yeah, it took trippy disco lights and it kind of like collapsed them down a little bit and kept the colors a little more cohesive so that they're not too like far apart on the color wheel. There's nothing that's too bright. It kind of like makes it so that it's a really harmonized design. If you choose, for example, like the salmon sushi, that one will tend to always give you some salmon shades because it's trying to render like what the concept of salmon sushi is, which is a lot of salmon. Sometimes it goes a little off the, to a different version of salmon sushi, like this blue one. But you can see that the color rule still kind of like collects it up together. So the greens in the top right one are all very similar. The peach color for the accent color, those are both very similar. And then the background color is really dialed in there. And it makes it so that your artwork it's kind of almost ready to go. We have all the classic color rules built in there. So if you chose Triad or one of the other color rules, now Triad takes your colors and instead of keeping them all together within 9 degrees on the color wheel, it takes them at 3 separate points that are all equidistant apart. So this is really common to make things pop. You'll hear that a lot. Art directors are like, that looks great. You matched all those colors, but actually I wanted it to pop. So this is a way to kind of like take those colors and spread them out a little more. And you can see like purple and green are usually pretty opposite each other, like far apart from each other. And then if you take complementary, that will be exactly opposite each other on the color wheel. So complementary colors are the ultimate make it pop because they are the farthest apart, which means that they are the most contrasty next to each other. Here, my favorite combination is actually like blue and peach. That's like one of the color combinations I go back to over and over again, or like coral and baby blue, like those kind of things. So that top left one is like my favorite. I would just print that right now. I think it's absolutely lovely. So yeah, like the color rules really help you out. And then below that, we have color locks. So if you were like, okay, I need to have some set of colors, but I also have to have blue because blue is our brand color, which is really common. Blue is a very common brand color because it says authenticity and trustworthiness and things like that. So what that'll do is that'll take that prompt, but then it'll bring in a lot of blue so that you're sure that that blue is going to be represented in the color palette that it extracts from and then applies to the image. And this is just a way to give you a little more control over the colors. But often, like, especially for me, when I do like vector illustrations, you'll hear, oh, I love this, but I would love to see it in other color variations because we might want to use this in different contexts. So this is a great tool to like quickly give you those variations. The downloadable files are in SVG, so it's still vector. And we would love to know like how you think about this and how you might use it in your workflow. But some of the use cases that I definitely have are vector illustrations, logo renditions, especially like type. I have a lot of type files that are all vector, like, drawn type. And those ones you'll so often get like, oh, we loved that, but we'd like it in different colors. And they're really complex. There's one of the files that I shared with you is named Carnival. And that one is a pretty complex logo that, you'll see like it's a really drawn logo. not a font logo, if that makes sense. So this is a way that you can just like remap all of those colors really easily without having to do it by hand. This would be so tedious to do by hand, which I've done before, but you know, the goal is to not have to do it by hand, right?
Right.
And also, I've seen there are some color harmonies you've mentioned, and if you need perhaps some help understanding what they really are, I would recommend going to the color.adobe.com website, because on there you have essentially, I've posted just a link in the Discord, they have almost the same ones, but you will actually see on the color wheel what they actually represent. So split complementary, for example, those are analogous, so you can see they're all right next to each other, like you said. So yeah.
I love the shout out. This is my actual Adobe baby. I run Adobe Color. So this is like my most thing that I love working on the most, the Adobe Color tool. We built a lot of more color harmonies into it. So you go play around with there and learn how they work on the color wheel, and then you'll really understand how to dial those colors in. And like I said, the color harmony rules are specifically scientifically made so that colors really react against each other or match cohesively. Like that's what the rule is, based on the way that the color wheel is laid out and the position of the colors across from each other or next to each other. They're guaranteed to fall into a certain kind of category where they react really well against each other.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and thanks, Seth. That's super interesting. I love learning these details. Just while you were talking, and just in case people wanted to know, I was playing around with some of these things like shuffling colors. So you can see what are the prominent colors in the generated art, and then you can go ahead and shuffle those if you want, which is usually a pretty quick process. And obviously, there's a lot of degrees of freedom. It's sort of deceptively simple as a module, but you could go in here and type, beautiful sunset or something. And again, back behind the scenes, we're going to get 4 images generated of beautiful sunsets. The colors are then extracted and mapped onto the artwork. And it's applying the complementary rule because I chose it from the menu, and it then appears as a chip, just like you would get in the image composition module. But again, I could just pop that off there if I want and let it go to the defaults. And that's what it looks like. And, if you happen not to like something, you hit refresh. So you can always go, mouse over something. You can hit the little download button. You can download that variation and just be saving those and kind of really do it as much as you like. In the live stream we did yesterday, Samantha Warren, who's the design director, was showing how you might use this for a mood board. And so it's like, oh, that's kind of neat. I want to snap these off, drop them into my library. Boom, now they're in Illustrator, and I can just drag them onto the artboard and see different treatments really simply. So even if this isn't directly in Illustrator or Photoshop right now, you can already kind of use the tools together in some pretty low friction ways.
And 2 more things to note. One, you'll see that the white is respected. And also if we had files with black, the black will also be respected. In the future, we'll give you the option to turn that off and let you, it'll render into those spaces as well. But for now, we've given you that control to be able to keep those elements, those specific colors, since often when something is black or white, like you want the colors around it to change, but you actually want the source that you've designated black or white to remain the same. And then the other thing, if you drag in the file that I believe is called Wharf, which is a little illustration I did. One of the greatest things about this tool is that it actually respects things like clipping masks and gradients. So this is a scene that I drew of like a bunch of people fishing on this little wharf. This is something my boyfriend does all the time. So he's the one at the end sitting on the pier. And you'll see that the color gradient in the background is respected. So as you go through and apply different, try a couple different more generations, hit maybe the midnight blue one, or I forget what it's called, the blue. You'll see that there's still a gradient in the background and it's rendering in cohesively with the scene. So this is something I use all the time. My second favorite thing to color is gradient. And that's why we built the gradient tools in Adobe Color and Adobe Capture and a bunch of other places. I use it so much because it's a way to make things pop and make things really, especially skies and ocean, feel really cohesive, feel real, right? So the fact that this also maps color onto gradients, I love that it does that. It's so much more powerful in my opinion.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you. I actually hadn't somehow tried it on a gradient, and so that's cool. One of my dreams, because I always 30 seconds after the engineers give us something amazing, I'm like, okay, I've metabolized that. What else you got? But one of my dreams is that we can automatically create vector meshes in the future. I don't know if this is possible, but that would be amazing, because then sort of in concert with potentially generating imagery, you could by extension, generate vector meshes. And it's a brilliant tool, but often you see the stuff people made is like, oh, here's something from 2002, because there's like one dude in his apartment who took the time to really get precise. And so, as with everything, we want to democratize the on-ramps to these various technologies. I think just by what you see here, you can get a lot of cool color things that might have otherwise been a little bit intimidating. But there's many things we'd love to do subsequently. So we'll see how we can go. And with that, I guess we're already over time, as always happens.
Yeah,
so
just
I'll
one last
stop.
question from my end. So to clarify, if you download the file, there will be still a SVG, so you can edit that in
Correct.
Illustrator.
That's
Yes,
right.
it's still SVG. It's got all those colors applied.
And SVG, even people don't necessarily have them handy, but you can always just export them from Illustrator. So it's really just been around open standard 20 years, and so you should just be able to save artwork if you want to bring them into this path.
Yeah, and if you want to generate some really quickly, the Adobe Capture mobile app, which I also run, there is the Shapes tool. And in the Shapes tool, you can actually, most people use it just for black shapes because they use them as stamps in Fresco or they use them as stamps in Illustrator. We also have a full color vectorization from either the camera or images that you import from your device. Super helpful. A lot of those test files were actually from Adobe Capture. So I highly recommend downloading it and using that if you want to quickly create some SVGs, because you can export them from Adobe Capture as SVG and go straight into this tool and start playing around with it.
Yeah, Capture's amazing. Have it right here. All right.
Cool.
Then also I would like to thank you, Heb, for including the U in the color.adobe.com URL. That makes my UK English heart very happy.
Yes, both.
Does anybody remember what it used to be named? This is some old man there. So it used to be, yeah. There, okay.
There you go.
Again, nice. Wow, sniped it. Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
We love when people come up and tell us that they used it since it was cooler, because it is definitely like a beloved tool by many.
Oh yeah. I know I have a swag T-shirt somewhere in my floor robes upstairs, which sedimentarily, I'm sure it's turning into like a diamond or something, but it does say cooler.adobe.com, and so it's a well-honored old bit of tech.
Yeah, definitely have some old books that reference Cooler. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us today. I think there's a next one.
Oh.
The next one is next week on Friday again. Do you have another one? Do you happen to know already?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Tim. And and anytime I'm feeling stressed, I hope you'll just call me up and read me things, because I'm instantly cooled out.
You can call the Stunt Gus hotline and I'll be there. Like, hello.
Amazing.
All right.
right.
Then thanks for watching, everybody. We will upload this to YouTube, so you can watch the replay if you have just joined at the end. And other than that, I will see you again on Adobe Live, where, by the way, we have a German stream coming up on Firefly next week. It's going to be hosted by me. So see you there. And from all of us, we're here. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Bye.